What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. It is Thursday, July 17th, day number 10 inside the Big Brother house. Tonight, the first house guest will be evicted, but where do the votes lie in this massively split house? But on the eve of eviction, all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, until Rachel showed up and just let Zae have it. Who's your mommy? Let's talk about that, plus all the intel drama and more from yesterday's live feeds. But first, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. A little bit of a catch up and a recap for you if you haven't been following along all week. Vince won HOH. He nominated Amy, Zae, and Ashley. Ashley, though, won the power of veto despite taking a 2-hour shower, and Vince nominated his really close ally in Kelly after she volunteered to go up as the replacement. Votes have been going back and forth all week long. Lots of different convos and lots of different scenarios, lots of different agendas for all the house gets. And we're going to be going over that in a little bit. New alliances were going off like crazy. In fact, another new alliance was formed just yesterday. It is called The Bond, as in James Bond. Ava was the one to come up with this, and it consists of Vince, Zach, Lauren, Will, Adrian, and Ava. That is your 6-person alliance, and I kind of see this almost as 2 different groups of 3. You've got Zach, Vince, and Lauren. You also have Will, Adrian, and Ava. Both sets of 3 really have kind of had a lot of what I would assume are very honest and truthful game talks. It always can be a little bit hard finding, what's true, what's not, but they all do seem to talk a lot and seem to do have a lot of trust in each other. So this 6 actually seems like it could go the long haul if they're all able to stick together. Like I said, Ava came up with the name Bond, but even more than that, she's got like characters and roles for all of them. For example, her and Lauren are like the go-go dancers that they meet along the way of this mission. Vince is the villain turned hero. Zach is like a spy and so on. So they all have these like special roles. So look forward to that in some diary room sessions as she explains all of their roles. Some other interesting things that happened yesterday, though. Speaking of Will, it was his anniversary, so everyone decided to get dressed up and they had dinner for the occasion. And as we know as Big Brother fans, nothing bad ever happens on special occasions in the BB house. Like, say it's your birthday, nothing weird would ever happen on a birthday, right? In the Big Brother house. No, never, never, never. So an anniversary, we know it's safe, right? Nothing crazy is going to go on. Well, we'll get to that. But speaking of love, we also have to talk about Riley and Catherine. And now, Cowboy Riley, he's got a huge crush on Catherine. In fact, his crush is so bad that he said he would be happy to lose to her and go all the way to the end. He so told her, he's like, listen, you know what? If I'm being a little too much, let me know. Which she responded with, no, you're not being too much. But also I get the vibe that maybe he is being a little too much. We're going to see how this all goes. Hopefully Catherine's able to make that out alive. The other interesting thing is going to be with his vote, because Riley, he seems like he might go along with whatever Catherine wants to do, and Catherine seems to want to go against a lot of what Riley's been saying he was going to do. Riley, for example, he's pretty much promised every single nominee that he's voting for them no matter what. So what Riley will actually do on the vote is kind of a mystery. I have a feeling he would vote to keep Zae, probably vote to keep Kelly over Amy, but we'll have to see tonight on the eviction. He's one of the kind of wild cards to look out for. Vince and Lauren had a little bit of a chat, and Lauren's another one of these ones that at the moment is kind of a wild card, and we'll get a little bit deeper into that in just a bit. But Vince was talking to her, and he was mentioning how Rachel pretty much bullied him. And I'm not 100% sure when this took place, but also I'm a little bit doubtful. If I'm being honest, Vince gives me the vibe that he would be bullied if you honked while you were sitting behind him at a red light. So I wouldn't put too much value in the idea that he actually got bullied by Rachel. But also, it's Rachel, so maybe she did do this. We'll have to see if that ever comes out as something more to know about. Some other interesting things, like I said, the vote was kind of going back and forth. Zae was doing a lot of work to try and campaign and really make sure he was able to secure his votes, talking to a lot of different people. One of the things he actually said was if he were to not win the Battle of the Block and it was him versus Amy, one of his strategies would be before the vote, he would stand up in his eviction speech, actually say, like, listen, we got to go after Rachel, and Amy is just a sidekick to Rachel. We got to take her out. If you vote me out and keep Amy, just go ahead and congratulate Rachel on her second BB win, which would be really cool and exciting if that happened on eviction night. But I have a feeling like maybe we might still get that, but the house guests might not be as surprised. And here's why. Because while this was all going on, yeah, things were kind of chill, right? People were going around and talking, but nothing really was major going on. Just little conversations back and forth, kind of going in circles over the vote and trying to count and figure out where they're going to go. But things got a little crazy because, other than the whispers, Zae, he was having a conversation with Keanu, and he's telling him, the same old stuff he's been saying all week long, that Rachel's got to go. And during this chat, he might have also mentioned how, Rachel won't win a second time if he's still here in the house. Rachel overheard this. And Rachel isn't going to just sit around and let that happen. So Rachel, she starts going at it with Zae. She lets him have it and says, I'd be careful coming for the queen. You will get beheaded. And this conversation, kind of went in some circles here, going back and forth about what they did and did not say. Zae was kind of denying that he would go after her if he stayed and stuff like that. But of course, he would. And then eventually things kind of broke off and they both went their separate ways to kind of tell the stories about what just occurred with each other. Rachel was in the kitchen, doing her little talk, and Zae was up on that upper balcony area, that little sitting nook outside of the HOH. So not too far out of earshot. And as Rachel starts going over everything that happens, Zae overhears, must not like what he hears. So he starts yelling down over the balcony towards Rachel. Rachel starts yelling up at him, saying, like, you're acting like a baby, relax. She says, I'm not the one yelling from up on the balcony. It becomes like a whole thing. He eventually comes on back down. They go back and forth with each other, spitting little jabs at each other. There are different points on their argument on why they're right in this situation. Eventually, Rachel hits him with the, I've been doing this for 15 years. Trust me, I've heard worse from better. She said some other things like, you're on the block, right? Eventually they went and they escaped the pantry to kind of escape all the looky-loos that were kind of watching the show go on. It was really kind of entertaining to see this all go down the night before an eviction. While in the pantry, they kept going back and forth. She was calling him a baby, telling him he was acting up, and he keeps saying, she's the one doing this and that. Eventually, though, Rachel finally has enough. She's like, I'm bored. And he's like, I'm not holding you hostage. And then she just walks out. That kind of ends that whole thing. More vote discussions continued to happen. Zae tried to make some final pushes. He had a conversation with Ashley, who, again, was kind of one of those ones that was a little bit of a swing. She is probably still actually going to vote for Amy to stay in that scenario. So she's probably not voting for Zae to stay, especially after all of this drama that took place. But Zae still thinks he might have that vote. In fact, actually telling Vince a little bit later, he's like, I think I got this. I even think I have a vote you'd be surprised at. So he's got this kind of bit of a self-confidence, but a lot of his allies are starting to have even less confidence that he were to stay. almost certainly this vote is going to end up as some kind of a split, no matter who wins the blockbuster competition. I feel like this is going to go in a lot of different ways. In fact, one of the last conversations we heard with one of the major swing votes in this whole situation, Lauren, she was talking to Vince and Zach late at night. They were kind of having a walk back and forth in the backyard, which, by the way, they still have the backyard even late into the night, which would kind of suggest to me that the competitions are going to be played in that off-site competition area, which I'm actually glad about it. I've been pushing for them to do that for a lot longer. One, it gives them more time and ability to build those comps without taking away the backyard, and I feel like they could put a little bit more effort into the build quality and the just the overall pageantry of these competitions if they just had their own dedicated comp space, and they didn't have to use the backyard and cut that off from the house guests all the time. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Anyway, back to the conversation with Vince, Zach, and Lauren. They were again kind of going over the votes, kind of seeing where, their thoughts are. And Lauren told them, she's like, listen, I think I'm kind of leaning that, I just want Zae to win blockbuster. She is at the point where whoever is up against Zae, she doesn't feel like she can actually bring herself to vote, because it would kind of reveal her cards. Like if she's one of the ones to vote, they're going to know that she flipped and went to the other side to even make it a tie. And that's not even guaranteed at this point either, that they could even get it to a tie. So it's a whole thing. I think a lot of these people don't actually fully have it locked in. They still have their rankings listed up. A lot of them would like to vote for somebody else, but they feel like they can't because of the different allegiances that people have. And it's kind of a big mess, but also been kind of fun and entertaining to go. Here's the thing. I was one of those ones who I was very against the whole blockbuster coming into the game, as the AI arena is kind of redone for a second year in a row now, and it's becoming a permanent part of the game. And I have some feelings about that. But I will say it is kind of working out as being a little bit entertaining and exciting to see how this is all playing out. I think a big help is that this cast doesn't have T-Core and chemo. Anyway, let's start going over our allegiance chart here. I've made a few changes to it, and then we're going to kind of go over the vote of how things kind of lie at the moment. Over on the Rachel, Amy side, you got Morgan, Mickey, Jimmy, and Catherine. They are very solid over there. We also have Ashley, who's all the way at the bottom, but was kind of slid over there because she does have a little bit of that connection with Zae, and it seemed like she thinks that it could be beneficial for her to have Zae here to go take those shots at Rachel, since she is at the top of the pecking order over on that side. So it did seem like there was maybe a chance that even her and Amy could end up voting to keep Zae in a Zae versus Kelly situation going against Rachel, but it does seem like that maybe has kind of fizzled out as an option as well. Ava's kind of in the middle there too, between the Amy and the Zae side. She's very anti-Kelly. Ava is pretty much save Amy at any cost. And if it's Zae versus Kelly, then all right, we can vote to keep Zae if you really want to. She's not a fan of keeping Kelly around. Will also, I think, is right about in the middle there with everything. He's very much more on the Zae side, so he would more likely keep Zae over Kelly. But in the Amy versus Zae side, he's kind of leaning a little bit more towards Ava in that whole situation, because again, it doesn't seem like they have the numbers, but a lot of times they would be the reason they would be able to get the numbers back over. So we'll see how that goes. Lauren, like I mentioned, also kind of in the middle. She would like to vote with Zach and keep Zae around, but she feels like with the way the numbers are all kind of breaking out, it would be too exposing to her game to go against that at this time and go against the other girls. So she's kind of in the middle there as well. Zach up top there, very much in the Zae camp. He's a keep Zae at any cost. Riley is a little bit of an enigma at the moment. I don't know I don't know where his vote would actually go because here's the problem. Riley has promised his vote to all three nominees no matter what. He's very close with Catherine, so he might even just do what Catherine would want at the end of the day. He's in several alliances with the boys, like the Burger Boys. So we'll see how that all plays out. He's definitely another one you want to keep your eye on. The four in the middle there, they're the big swing votes. If they went either way, they could do a lot in here, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out in whatever scenarios. Then you have Vince, who he does lean a little bit towards the Kelly side. I think in a Zae versus Kelly tiebreaker, he would really have a tough decision on his hands on what he would do. But he does also still lean a little bit towards that Kelly side. And then you also have Adrian and Keanu, who are basically save Kelly at all costs. They would always vote to keep Kelly in any scenario. Ava and Will have also told Adrian, they're like, what are you doing, bro? Like, why would you want to vote to keep Kelly? Like, she would turn her back on you so fast. So they're kind of, telling me like, come on over to our side. Like, what are you doing? So let's give you guys a little bit of a vote breakdown here. So let's say it would be Amy versus Kelly. Zae wins the the blockbuster competition, takes himself off the block, and we end up with Amy versus Kelly. I would see Rachel, Morgan, Mickey, Jimmy, Ashley, Catherine, Ava, and Will. That would be 8. That would be enough. If Will actually went to the Kelly side or Ava went to the Kelly side, they would be able to get Amy out. But Ava is definitely anti-Kelly and does not want Kelly in the game at all. Would rather keep Amy around. Will, like I said, kind of leans towards Ava. I'm not even 100% sure if Will would vote that way. He could even vote with the other side. Maybe get that 7-7 tie. That's all to be seen as well. So it could even be a tie with an Amy versus Kelly. But at the moment, that's kind of where I see it. Also, potentially even with Lauren, maybe she might even be swayed into flipping, especially if the votes aren't there. So that one's kind of up in the air, but does lean towards Amy having the better chance of staying unless they can secure and make sure it is a tie. And then Vince would be able to break that tie. But I don't see that happening at the moment. Let's say that Kelly is able to pull off the win and we had Amy versus Zae. In that situation, Rachel, Morgan, Mickey, Jimmy, Ashley, Catherine, and Ava would all vote for Amy. On the other side, you would have Zach, Keanu, Adrian, Will, Kelly, and then Lauren and Riley are a little bit of wild cards. So in that scenario, if Lauren did go with Zae, but she was saying that she doesn't think she can do it, they would have the tie and they would be able to keep Zae with the tiebreaker from Vince. But like I said, Lauren's kind of leaning towards the idea that maybe she can't do it now. Riley has promised his vote to everybody, so we don't really know where he would end up going. Will, I think, is closer to Zae, so I think he would keep Zae. Ava's the only one who's like, yo, I'm saving Amy no matter what. And she's told the other alliance this too, so like everybody kind of knows, like the bond we talked about earlier, they know that Ava would be voting to keep Amy no matter what, so that's kind of a situation. And then let's break down our last scenario where if it was Kelly versus Zae, we would have Rachel, Morgan, Mickey, Jimmy, Ashley, Catherine, Keanu, Adrian, and Amy all voting for Kelly to stay. You would have Zach, Riley, Will, Lauren, and Ava as the 5. But again, Lauren is pretty much saying, hey, if we don't have the votes to swing it, I'm just going to vote to keep Kelly and vote Zae out. I don't want to be kind of seen as somebody who's going against the rest of the house. There was a moment where maybe we could have had Ashley and Amy flip on over and join the other side in voting to keep Zae. But again, that seems that that's all kind of fizzled out as well. If we do end up with any ties, just to give you an idea of where Vince's head's at, he would keep Zae over Amy, Kelly over Amy, and then Zae, Kelly. It's kind of a toss up there. I'm not 100% sure what he would do. Would he go and choose Zae, who is somebody that Zach would want to keep in the game? Or would he go with the person who volunteered for him to go on the block and keep Kelly in the game? I really do not know the answer to that. So that is pretty much how things are shaping up at the moment. Again, this all could change over the next few hours here before the eviction starts. These are a very lively bunch who'd like to talk. So maybe we'll get some new information as things go along. But it's definitely going to be exciting to see how this goes. What do you guys think? Who would you like to see win the blockbuster? Which scenario would you like to see? Would you want it to be Amy versus Zae, Kelly versus Zae, or Amy versus Kelly? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, who would you like to see evicted tonight on the episode? And then also, who do you want to see win the next HOH? Because we will have a new one for this week. And I think this is a very important one to decide how the rest of this game goes as all the lines are being drawn in the sand. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will be live here tonight with a live eviction watch party on the channel. So make sure you come on out for that. We'll also be live tomorrow morning with our recap of everything that happened on the live eviction, but also everything that happened on the live feeds afterwards. So you're not going to want to miss that. Plus, we're going to be doing our call-in show. So if you are a member to the channel and you're in the Discord, you have those connected, you'll be able to call on into the show. It should be a good time. Other than that, thank you guys all so much for the love and support. Yesterday, I gave you guys a goal of hitting 1,000 likes, and you absolutely crushed it. So we did a stream last night. It ended up being a lot of fun. Thank you guys all so much for that. But if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Thank you guys all once again, and I will see you tonight.
Okay. But doesn't that make sense?
I'd be careful coming for the queen. You will get beheaded.